Welcome to the Goodyear City Council meeting. We're excited to have you be a part of this important public process. Tonight, you will have the opportunity to address City Council on both non-agenda and agenda items. The agendas and the speaker request cards are located on the tables outside of council chambers. You must fill out a speaker card in order to address the City Council. Please hand in your completed card to the city clerk before the start of the meeting. If the meeting has already begun, please hand it to any city staff. You may also check the "I do not wish to speak" option on the card. This allows you to still voice your opinion on an item on the record without having to speak. In accordance with the Americans with Disabilities Act, please contact a city staff member if you need any assistance. Public comment on a non-agenda item will take place during the citizen comment portion of the evening. These are items that don't appear on tonight's formal agenda. The city clerk will call your name when it's time for you to speak. At that time, please approach the podium and tell us your name for the record. You'll have a maximum of 3 minutes, and there is a timer visible from the podium. When the light changes from green to yellow, your time is coming to an end. When the light turns red, your time is up. Note that you may also choose not to speak if other speakers before you have said what you wanted to say. Shouting, cheering, and loud noises will not be tolerated, and violators may be removed for disrupting the meeting. Goodyear City Council meetings stream live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and online at goodyearaz.gov. Follow the city's social media pages so you don't miss out on all that's happening in Goodyear. Thank you for coming to this meeting and being an active part of your city. And remember, it's a great time to be in Goodyear.
I'd like to call the regular meeting to order for December 5th, 2022. Will the city clerk please let us know if everybody's here for the record?
Just waiting for one or two more to hit their present. There. All the members are present.
All right, thank you very much. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Almighty Father, I ask you provide wisdom to all of those of us on the council so we may make wise decisions for our community. I also ask that you help heal this nation which suffers from a lack of civility so that we can come together as a nation and work towards a more civil society for the betterment of all. Please protect our men and women in uniform serving here and overseas from injury and provide those in the meeting safe passage home. In your name, amen. We have one communication item tonight. We are recognizing the Estrella Foothill High School girls volleyball team for winning 4A state championship. Will the team please come up here in the well and front of the dais, right up here.
The mic's right there.
Holy cannoli. Here, so we can kind of just turn the wheel over this way, so you're facing y'all as I read it. All right. There we go. That's perfect. And again, congratulations. What an achievement. Whereas the mayor and the council of the city of Goodyear recognize the 2022 Estrella Foothills High School girls volleyball team for their outstanding dedication and effort in becoming the 4A Division State Championships. Whoa. And whereas the Wolves compiled a record of 33-1 this season, including a remarkable 26-match win streak. And whereas the Wolves were undefeated in region, conference, and A1 play and only lost 6 sets the entire season. Man, that's amazing, guys. That's amazing, ladies. The state championship was a culmination of 5 straight regional championships, and whereas the hard work, determination, and sportsmanship and talent of this team has established a tradition of excellence, whereas this team dedication and spirit has brought much recognize and honor to the Estrella Foothills School, Buckeye Union High School District, and the city of Goodyear and the entire West Valley. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Joe Pizzillo, Mayor of Goodyear, Arizona, do hereby recognize and extend congratulations to the Estrella Foothills Varsity Girls Volunteer Team of this outstanding accomplishment. In witness thereof, I have set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Goodyear to be affixed this 5th day of December, 2022. And again, congratulations. Let's give my hand. All right, who wants to come up and say something? Go ahead.
First of all, I would like to thank the Goodyear City Council for honoring the Estrella Foothills Girls Volleyball Program. These are some of the hardest working student athletes I've had the privilege of coaching. For some of these girls, they have been working towards this for 4 years. Some will be back next year working again towards it. This is the Girls Volleyball 5th Region Championship. We are 32-1. If it's 33-1, I need to fix the ring thing. This is their first state championship, so they're making school history. I'm so proud of what they do on the court, what they do in the classroom. They are very goal-oriented and laser-focused. I'm proud of what they do for breast cancer research. I would like to thank the Estrella community for their support and these wonderful student athletes. I wish you all the best.
Any of the students want to say anything? Go Wolves? Go Wolves. Okay, there you go. No, come ahead.
Okay. I'd just like to say this has been the best season ever. We all really gelled together, and this is more like a family rather than a team. I know that goes hand in hand, but I really enjoyed every day going into the gym with you guys and just accomplishing all of our individual goals and our team goals together. So thank you.
All right.
A little blinded.
33 and 1. Huh? I'll wait till he. Now is the time for citizens who would like to address the City Council on any non-agenda items within the jurisdiction of the City of Goodyear. Any speaker cards?
Yes, Mayor. Michael Kavanaugh.
Council will listen to comments and take the following. First, if you would, go ahead and give your name. You got 3 minutes. You'll see, I guess, right up above here with the time will tell you when you get 20 seconds left. So go ahead. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Michael Kavanaugh. I'm a Goodyear resident. Been so for about 2.5 years. When we moved into our home, right off of Sarval and Lower Buckeye, we were thrilled to be there. The home was our dream home. We had moved down from Colorado to retire here in this community, and we were very excited to be here. Since that time, we've seen a lot of construction take place in our vicinity, especially down towards MC 85 in the intersection between Sarval and Cotton. And that whole area in there is developed. With that development, we've seen a substantial increase in truck traffic on Sarval. Now, I know that Sarval has recently undergone some expansion, and it's becoming much more accessible to truck traffic because of its improvements. But we have noticed a significant impact in the community because of the amount of truck traffic that is coming up from that southern area there. We have even been awoken at night by vibrations coming from the road, rattling the pictures on the bedroom walls. It's gotten to that extent now. I drove tractor trailers for a number of years during my career, and I know that the reason that a lot of that vibration is happening is because of the overweight situation for those 18-wheelers. It's beyond me why the truck drivers don't see those signs that are posted that it's for local traffic only per code 13.2-13, which stipulates, as I'm sure all the council members know, that all of the truck traffic should be routed to Cotton or Estrella or Bullard or Litchfield, and that those are the main truck routes through the city. I feel that because the trucks either are ignoring the statute or they're not aware of it, that as a community, I think that we need to enforce that better and improve the quality of all the people that are living on that corridor. So whatever the council would deem appropriate to monitor that situation would be appreciated by the citizenry. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. City Manager?
Thank you. Yes, I was going to see if Paul, maybe you could speak with our gentleman about the enforcement angle, because as you noted, it is noted for local traffic only, but appreciate your comments, and we'll have staff member meet with the resident.
Did you want to mention something there, Councilmember Stitt?
Yeah, and in a follow-up to that, I think, I'm looking at the police chief, there he is. We're having, I think, some local truck route enforcement issues coming up. Obviously, this is the issue down south. We're still having truck traffic up north, down Indian School and up 152nd. So maybe that's something we can also do in addition to your conversation with Deputy City Manager and our, I'm going to call him a traffic guru forever now. But in addition to that, maybe we can have some stepped up enforcement as well.
Thank you, Councilmember Stitt. With that, again, thank you, sir. Will the city clerk please read consent agenda items 2 through 4 by title only?
Number 2, approval of minutes. Number 3, accept the special warranty deed from Compass Data Centers conveying property for Bullard Wash. Number 4, approve the minor land division on Pico Drive and expenditure authority.
Thank you. Does anybody on the council wish to remove an item from the consent agenda?
I wish to remove item 4, please.
Item 4? Okay. So with that, can I get a motion from, I guess, 2 and 3? Because 4 has been removed. Does that sound right? Can I get a motion for 2 and 3? Okay, we got it. First and second. All right. With that, can I get, let's see. We've got a first and second motion, so the vote. All vote for 2 and 3. Passes 7-0. Number 4, what do we have? The approval of the minor land division on Pico Drive and expenditure authority. Who's going to speak on that?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Mario Saldamato, Senior Project Manager.
My question is this the area that we tore down the police station? And I wasn't aware, and I must have missed the vote, that we voted to put in a parking lot. I knew we talked about it. I know we also talked about doing a park, but I hate to spend $1,533,000 to plan an asphalt parking lot for Sonny's Gym.
Yeah, so this is the land. So this project is on city-owned parcel, and it was the previous site to the City Hall, First City Hall, and police station. And so the council did discuss this a number of times during work session and regular meetings. It was approved to establish this as a CIP project for the creation of a parking lot on that city-owned property.
Parking lot with lights or just asphalt?
It's landscaped. It has lights. There's security. It has public art. That was a part of the proposal.
Okay, thanks.
You good there, Councilmember Campbell?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, then can I get a motion to approve the minor land division on Pico Drive and expenditure authority? I got a first and a second. Vote. Passes 5-2. All right, with that, next, we got the first business item coming up here. Remind council to wait for a motion and a second before discussion. First item on business to receive the annual comprehensive financial report and audit results. Go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Thank you, Mayor Pizzillo, members of the council. My name is Jared Askelson. I'm the Deputy Finance Director here for the City of Goodyear. Here to talk to you tonight about our annual comprehensive financial report and the audit results that accompany it. So the annual comprehensive financial report is an annual report that we put together. That's why annual is in the name. It runs for our fiscal year that ended June 30, 2022. The independent audit results will be presented by our independent auditor. Crimson Singleton from Hindenburg is here tonight, and when I'm done with my portion of the presentation, she'll come to the podium and present the independent audit results. So the annual comprehensive financial report, also called an ACFR, because we're government, we like acronyms. So the ACFR is a standardized report that's based on input from the Governmental Accounting Standards Board and the Government Finance Officers Association. This allows potential investors to make comparisons to private industry investments. So our financial statements are made to look a lot like what a private industry's financial statements look like. Also, it is required by state law for us to complete these annual financial reports. To look at some of the numbers, we'll look at our government-wide net position, which would be like net equity that you would find in a private business. So the net position has increased by double-digit amounts for the last 3 years, now reaching $1.13 billion. So the net position is taking all of our assets that we have and all of the dollars we may have in the bank or the buildings that we have, any other assets that we have, and subtracting out any liabilities we may have, like bonds payable or accounts payable, those types of things. And the net result is that we have a positive net position of $1.13 million, or billion dollars, excuse me. And as you can see, over the last 3 years, we've been seeing double-digit increases in our net position because of the growth that we've seen in the city, the increase in our revenues, and the increase in the assets that we have, such as the building that we're standing in tonight. The other number we'll look at is the governmental funds fund balance, again, been increasing over the last really 7 years by double-digit amounts, reaching $301.7 million. Now, the governmental funds do not include our enterprises, but most importantly includes the general fund. Let's break that $301.7 million down, though. Of that, $1.7 million is non-spendable, such as inventory. So if we have fuel in our fuel tanks, that's an item that it is included in our fund balance for value, but we can't spend gas, we use gas. So that's a non-spendable item. We have $119 million of restricted fund balance. This includes anything that has a state statute or a federal guideline that restricts it, such as our development impact fees and also general obligation bonds that we had not yet spent as of June 30 of 2022. So we don't really have a lot of decision making to make with those dollars because they're restricted for their purpose. We have $4.8 million, about 2% of the total is committed This is specifically for the agreement that we have for asset replacement at the ballpark. So because we have an agreement in place with another party, we consider that to be committed fund balance. Finally, we have a sign, which is about 50% of the total. The largest piece of the assigned amount is really anything council has agreed to in these council meetings. The biggest item is over $130 million that we have dedicated towards the current year's budget. So we've already assigned some of that fund balance to be spent in the current fiscal year. That leaves us $26 million of unassigned, so this is balance over and above what we thought we would have when we adopted the budget. And as we go into next year's budget, this will be part of the discussion of what we do with the $26 million of unassigned fund balance. I'm going to steal Crimson's thunder a little bit and talk about the independent audit. So a couple pieces that we get from our auditor. One is the independent auditor's report, and on that we have an unmodified opinion, which means we have a clean audit. Second, we have a report on internal controls, where we have no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses identified, and a report on state legal compliance, where we have complied in all material respects to state law. We have a single audit act report, which has to do with our federal grants that we received, and that's complete with no issues. And finally, we're still working on our biennial development impact fee audit. That will be completed by the end of the month. So we met with the audit subcommittee a week ago today and discussed these and answered some questions regarding both the audit and the annual comprehensive financial report. But the key issues here: unmodified opinion, clean audit that we have, no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in our internal controls, and finally, our financial position continues to trend upwards. And with that, I will turn it over to Crimson to talk a little bit about the audit results for this year.
Hello, Council, Mayor. As was mentioned, my name is Crimson Singleton. I am an audit director with Hinton Burdick CPAs and advisors, and we were engaged to perform the audit. And so I'm basically going to reiterate a lot of the same points that Jared spoke on, but as state law now requires, you're supposed to hear from the auditor too, just to make sure, it's what they're saying is really correct, I guess. So, let's see. So first of all, just kind of cover the scope of what our audit entails. So as an auditor of the financial statements, we have a responsibility to express an opinion on the financial statements based on our audit. And those standards require that we plan and perform the audit to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements are free from material misstatement. And our audit is conducted in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted in the United States of America, as well as standards in the government auditing standards, which are issued by the Comptroller General of the United States. So kind of the scope of what goes into the financial audit. We take a look at the internal controls. We don't test controls, but we do get an understanding of the internal controls and their operating effectiveness. For the financial statements, we test various balances, transactions. We do this by obtaining confirmations from outside third parties, review supporting documentation, and also looking at various analytical procedures. And then once we perform our procedures, we communicate what our findings are. There's a letter that you should have all received. That's just a letter that kind of goes over some of our audit results and things that went into the audit. So that's the communication to management and those charged with governance letters. We also report on any material weaknesses and significant deficiencies. And if there's any other items, we may communicate. If there's just minor things to management that we see that would be beneficial, then we communicate those in an other items letter. So the key items that are in the financial statements, as Jared covered, there's the independent auditor's report, and there was a clean opinion or unmodified or clean opinion on that. Those cover the financial statements. There's a report on internal control over financial reporting and on compliance. And as was mentioned, there were no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies that we came across that we are required to report on. And there were the next report is the report on state compliance. And there's no material or reportable findings on the state compliance testing. And then the city was also required to have a single audit this year, which tests the federal expenditures. And for each major program that we selected and tested, we found no findings there. So it's an unmodified or clean opinion on the single audit compliance report. And then findings and recommendations. This is typically issued as a separate letter, but there were no material weaknesses, significant deficiencies, or compliance findings, so nothing to report there. And lastly, we just wanted to take a minute to thank everyone for their cooperation in helping us complete the audit, especially those in the finance department, and Doug, Jared, Selena, and everyone else. It takes a lot of time to get ready and help us, and just above the day-to-day operations, there's a lot that goes into preparing the audit, so we wanted to thank them. They all are great to work with. So, if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer those. You can also contact our audit department, our audit partner, McKay Hall, or I. Our contact information's there. And, we're happy to entertain any questions you may have. So.
Thank you. Any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Anybody in the audience like to speak? Seeing none, there's no action required from council on this. The state statute requires you to provide this information to the city council meeting. Does anybody in the council wish to speak? Councilmember Ray?
Jared, if you'd come back up real quick, but I think it was Selena this is her first full audit, right? And I just thought that I was part of the subcommittee, and I thought we should especially recognize her because she is really kind of the workhorse behind all this and getting us up to speed and keeping us up to speed and then finding those efficiencies so we're ready for the next audit. And I thought it would be appropriate just to recognize her efforts for keeping us up on this deal.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Bray, absolutely. Selena Morris is our finance manager, and she's been on for about 18 months. She started last year's audit the day she walked in the door and got to deal with everything I gave her when she showed up. So this year she got to run the show and really got to dig in and make a lot of improvements. One of the things is I'm here in front of you tonight in December. I think last year we were in front of you in January, so that's just one of the many improvements that she's made. So absolutely, and thank you.
Councilmember Stipp?
You know, I know I have, and maybe I'm going to speak for everybody else, but we take for granted sitting up here the work that, you know, Jared and Doug and the entire finance team do. We have been very blessed with the things that we're able to do for our community and the way that we are, you know, the comfort that we feel financially is because of the work that you all do, finance, et cetera. Yeah, and this is one of my Miss Mary Sunshine moments, so I want you all to recognize that.
So noted.
But I think the result of this, not only this audit, but all the previous years is just a reflection of that good work. And I know I have not in the last 10 years taken enough time to acknowledge the work of finance, so I wanted to do that for whatever reason tonight. So thank you all very much.
Councilmember Loretano?
I will just echo what was said, and thank you, Crimson, and your team as well for all the hard work and post-COVID audit. So thank you all. And so our citizens listening, this is a really, not only was a lot of hard work from our team and your team to go into this to see what was there, but it shows a really good, stable financial position for the city. So our citizens know that. So thank you all.
Vice Mayor?
Yeah, thank you for also for doing the audit. It's great being on the audit subcommittee and trying to help and bring ideas to for people, for the organization to look into. But you guys always do a great job. So thank you for all the hard work. So thank you.
All right, with that, I don't see any additional comments. Move forward. Again, thanks, Jared. You always guys do a great job. Next item on the business, consider adoption of a resolution to submit for a grant to U.S. DOT. Go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Chris Bridges, Transportation Planning Manager, AKA Traffic Guru. I'm here tonight to talk to you about applying for a RAISE grant, which is a federal grant that we would be applying for the widening of Camelback Road between Loop 303 and 152nd Avenue. This is just a map of the project and where it's located, bordered between Glendale and our northern boundary of the city. Loop 303 there on the far left and 152nd Avenue kind of in the middle of the page. And then Litchfield Park's off to the right-hand side of the map there. The work that's been done on this project previously started back in 2021, and we did a corridor assessment report, an access management plan, and then later programmed the project in FY22 to widen the road to a 6-lane arterial, major arterial. And then later in the spring of 22, the state legislature appropriated $8 million towards this project, which is currently being used for design. The total budget for the project is $49.5 million, and estimated completion would be in December of 2025. RAISE grants have been around for a while. It's, again, an acronym like Jared said. We love them. Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity, but it's been in various forms over the years. These are discretionary grants. And what we are looking at doing is utilizing HDR, who we have under contract currently for the Transportation Master Plan, to help us prepare this grant. I've done 2 of these, and each year they seemingly get more complicated and highly technical, so tapping into the expertise of somebody we already have under our contract would be highly beneficial to us. And in order to pay for their services, we were going to pay for that out of the state legislature appropriated $8 million. And then the huge benefit is when this grant is assembled and ready, we can use it for future federal grants. So we're not having to reinvent the wheel. If we're not successful in this one, the next round would be an infra grant. Those come out later this year or early next year. So we're able to leverage the information and apply them towards different pots of money. For RAISE grants, the maximum amount of funding you can get is $25 million. There is a 20% match for that, so around $5 million. And we've also had discussions through the design project with the city of Glendale, and that they would like to join us and be a joint applicant on this as well, which does carry a lot of weight when it's being reviewed on the federal side, that there's partnerships involved. And they've also committed verbally to fund their half of the required local match. We did include some language with the help of legal to address a future IGA that would be in place between Goodyear and Glendale to share those costs. And with that, recommendation is to approve the resolution, but I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Thank you. Anybody in the audience like to speak? Seeing none, will the city clerk please read resolution number 2022-2276 by title only, please?
Adopt resolution number 2022-2276, authorizing the submission of an application for fiscal year 2022 to 2023, Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity RAISE discretionary grant program funds to the United States Department of Transportation, U.S. DOT, authorizing the city manager to execute all documents relating to said application, and authorizing the city manager to execute a grant agreement, and authorizing the city manager to approve required budget amendments.
Thank you. Will the city council please enter a motion and a second to adopt the resolution 2022-2226? Seeing a motion and a second, let's open for council discussion. I assume this is discussion that's showing up right now, Vice Mayor?
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you for bringing this to us. I'm on the National League of Cities infrastructure group, so I'm glad that you're pursuing as much grant money as possible, and I'm glad that Glendale is participating as well for the regional approach of this since half of this street is also theirs, and also with the combination of our state money that we received as well. So looking forward to this project to be completed so we can continue widening the rest of all the many, many roads that we have in the rest of the city, especially south of the freeway. So thank you.
Councilmember Campbell?
I just have a question. Are we doing this grant through our grant writer?
So HDR does have grant writers on staff, and they'll be doing most of the work, but I've also been talking with Christina from our end and coordinating on the grants and making sure we're doing everything that we should be doing on our end, so.
Okay, yeah, that's really important. That's why we have a grant writer here.
Correct.
And I do understand how difficult it is to do the federal grants, because like Brandon, I've been on infrastructure committee for 12 years now, and it's very difficult. But I have been told that once you submit your application, if you aren't successful, they will put it through to other grants that are available if it's written the correct way. So if you need some additional help, NCL has staff that they're more than happy to help us with. They've offered to it. We just need to get a hold of them and let them know what we're doing, and then they'll tell us the best way to proceed as well.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Bray?
Yeah, right. The only thing I would caution on the federal funds, and I think, we got to get Camelback done and figured out, is that if we start to go down this path and they're going to want environmental studies and additional above and beyond what we've already done, in my opinion, at some point in time, all that additional stuff to study some ground squirrel that has already moved on, we're wasting a lot of time. And I'd much rather have this council just say, we're going to spend the extra however much money it is to get the project done than wasting time looking at dirt that's been disturbed 3,000 times. So that's my caution to that. On a side note, Camelback is an absolute mess. And I think the city should consider talking with the water district up there, not the district, but the, Adams Water Company, because it seems like about once a week now we have water spilling over Camelback because of that situation. So we're only causing more problems to the road, not fixing any problems. So that's all.
Thank you. Is there any other further discussion? Seeing none, can we open the voting? Motion carries 7-0. Next item on business is to consider adopting an ordinance to amend our code and adopting a drought preparedness plan. Go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
All these tall people around here. Sorry. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Ray Diaz. I am the Water Resources Manager and Sustainability Manager for the city. And tonight we will be talking about the drought preparedness plan and update to the existing ordinance. Tonight we have an overview of the drought preparedness plan, or DPP, and related water ordinance. Our ask tonight is that Council adopt the proposed drought preparedness plan along with the updates to the existing water ordinance. Tonight's presentation will walk through a brief background of the DPP, its definition and purpose as defined by the Arizona Department of Water Resources, or ADWR. We'll walk through how the DPP gets implemented and discuss some of the key components with the plan. There are 4 stages to the plan along with specific triggers. We'll discuss what those triggers are in more detail in the presentation. And finally, we'll review the changes within our existing water ordinance that are needed to ensure the DPP can be implemented if there ever should be, if that should ever arise. What is the DPP and why is it needed? The Arizona Department of Water Resources requires all water providers to have a curtailment plan in place. We do have an existing plan, but it has not been updated since 2012. A lot has changed in Goodyear since 2012. including where and how we get water for our customers. The existing plan does discuss where our water is. It was mostly groundwater at the time that it was implemented. Currently, we have different water sources, and so the new plan does encompass that within its update. The DPP, the plan itself, is a document that identifies specific strategies that the city can implement to reduce water demand in the event of water shortages due to operational emergencies or significant shortages caused by drought. The plan aims to address acute problems and not prolonged or chronic water issues. The Arizona Department of Water Resources provides a guiding document listing the expectations and requirements for the DPP. Listed here in this slide is the department's definition of the DPP. We've reached out to ADWR for clarification and guidance throughout the process regarding the changes we have proposed within the DPP, and all the changes do meet Arizona Department of Water Resources requirements. How does the DPP get implemented? The DPP has 4 stages, each stage having a specific trigger. Stages are implemented when demand or regional conditions reach specific trigger levels. If a specific trigger is reached, the Water Emergency Response Team will be activated. The team comprises of a Public Works Director and key members of the Public Works staff. The team can also include other directors or representatives from other key departments depending on the emergency. The Water Resources Response Team will assess the situation and provide recommendations to the city manager. The city manager has the authority to implement or cancel all stages found within the DPP. As we worked on the update to the plan, one key component we wanted with the DPP was to have flexibility when dealing with any situation. Not all situations are the same, and so we wanted to address issues specifically if we could and limit any unnecessary impacts. To help us achieve this, we created a menu of actions or strategies that can address a broad range of water users or more specific categories of users if needed. The Water Emergency Response Team will reference the menu of actions to determine the best recommendations to present to the city manager during a water emergency. Moving on to the stages themselves. As mentioned earlier, there are 4 stages, with each stage having a specific trigger associated with it. Starting with stage 1, or our water watch stage. Stage 1 is triggered when there's a significant impact to our overall water portfolio. It has reductions that are voluntary. What this means, water conservation messaging will increase and the focus will be more on city-owned facilities rather than impacting businesses or residents. This is stage 2, or our water alert. Stage 2 is triggered when demand meets 85% of our total water capacity. Reductions in stage 2 can include any combination of voluntary or mandatory reductions depending on the emergency. Again, we wanted the plan to be as flexible as possible to address the specific water emergency. The focus of reductions will be on city-owned facilities, but could include other water users as well. This is stage 3, or our water warning stage. Stage 3 is triggered when demand meets 90% of our total water capacity. Reductions in stage 3 are all mandatory, with no reductions being voluntary. Reductions in stage 3 will impact all users. Our final stage, stage 4, or water emergency. Stage 4 is triggered when demand meets 95% of demand or more of our total water capacity. Reductions in stage 4 are all mandatory reductions and the most severest that we can impose. All users will be impacted in stage 4. Putting the DPP aside for a moment, let us turn to the existing water ordinance, which needs amending to allow for some of the changes that we have just discussed within the DPP. Changes to the ordinance are listed here. The ordinance needs to refer to the new plan as a drought preparedness plan, or DPP, not what it's currently called, which is the water curtailment plan. The updated ordinance specifies adoption of the plan will be by mayor and council, and specifies that the city manager may amend the plan once adopted, and that the mayor and council will be notified by when any amendments happen in writing by the city manager. In conclusion, we request council consider adoption of the updates to the drought preparedness plan, and also adopt the proposed changes to the ordinance. Thank you.
Any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Anybody in the audience like to speak? Seeing none, will the clerk please read the ordinance number 2022-1546 by title only?
Adopt ordinance number 2022-1546, amending sections 14-5-5 violations, penalties, and 14-5-6 water use restrictions of the Goodyear City Code.
Thank you. I see already a motion and a second on the board. So with that, would you go ahead and open up the discussion piece? And the first one up is Councilmember Stipp.
Since this is so painfully aware in our memories, I want a clarification on the meaning of percent of capacity. I understand what the word flow means, but
that's a waitress.
Yeah, it's a waitress at Mel's Diner.
Right.
But we activate these various components when we get to, as you kept interchanging the amount of water that we're using and then percent of capacity. So I think that's where I lost track. So explain what the actual trigger is, and then maybe I'll have another question.
Sure.
If you don't mind, Ray. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor, Councilmember Stipp. Capacity is our ability to meet our demand. So it includes all our pumping, water that we can pump, any water that's going to our surface water treatment plant, anything that we have in storage. So all of that included, if demand is 80%, 90%, 95% of all of that encompassed, then that would trigger each one of those stages.
Okay, so hypothetically, if our cap allocation and all of that equals 3 million gallons a day, and our actual pumping requirement is really only 1 million a day, but we're getting 2 million extra per day because we're storing it, we're doing all the rest of this. We're never theoretically going to reach any of those milestones. Is that until that 1 million becomes 2 million, becomes 2.5?
Well, if there's a catastrophic event,
short of a well rupturing and spilling open.
And that's primarily the reason for the DPP is on the operational side, is to meet emergencies. So if a few wells go down and we cannot, within 24 hours, meet our current demand, then at that point, we would look at and say, okay, we are in whatever one of those stages we would have.
So I understand that in an emergency situation. I guess what the confusion for me anyway is, if we're calling this a drought preparedness plan, that's not a drought issue, that's an emergency response plan.
Yes.
So in response to the drought that is currently in place and projected to worsen over time, none of this conservation or none of this other stuff is ever going to kick in until literally the wells run dry, barring an emergency.
So the plan itself, it's a little misleading as far as the title that it has. And unfortunately, that is something that the state is requiring it to be called that. Those issues, those long-term drought in preparing and looking for additional resources, that gets addressed with our designation, which we are about to enter into. And so at that point, that's when we start looking at long-term water resources and where we are going to acquire that and how we're going to secure additional water resources moving forward.
Okay, I think I got hung up on the words drought preparedness plan, and it's really not, but okay, thanks for the clarity.
Councilmember Bray?
Yes, on the first portion, stage one, and you've heard my comments about the stages, but if we're truly looking at drought preparedness, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me that it's just the city that's going to react in stage one. And ultimately, our goal is to protect our customers and really the citizens, right? And so, we don't have to change it tonight, but I think that you should seriously consider that in that stage one, we should really look at what I'll call all unnecessary uses. So I would even go into the neighborhood's green belts, right? Like, if we're truly headed down this path, we're trying to put as much into storage or conserve so that our citizens have it, then why are we watering green belts? And the only person that's on the water system, the city, is the only one taking mandatory cuts. I think we could do a little more there to truly be prepared and give us that breathing room so that we're not at stage 3 and just hitting the panic button and expecting that the citizens have watched us through stage 1 and stage 2, and then all of a sudden they can't water their car or they can't shower or whatever it is. They are going to panic and this place is going to be burned to the ground. So I think we need to maybe bring that up a little bit starting in stage 1.
Thank you. Yes, Mayor, Councilmember Ray. So the nice thing about the plan itself is that there's a menu of actions that we can choose from, and they can certainly include different sectors within that, and it could address residential, commercial, all sectors. So it could be included even in stage 1. It's just when we looked at it, we wanted to show our citizens that we are leading the way, but we can certainly include, overall all users in that in stage 1.
You okay? All right, Councilmember Loretano? You're on.
Okay, so I think where we get the problem when we had the work session on this is I think Councilmember Stipp nailed it right on the head, the drought preparedness plan. And I think our citizens need to know that we're looking at basically a companion plan. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
That will take in a lot of the conservation and a lot of saving water for our citizens so we don't ever have to get to the drought preparedness plan. Is that a kind of a fair way to put it?
So the drought preparedness plan can be a tool that is, conservation could be a tool to help us not to get to these stages. So the conservation measures and programs that we offer could certainly be implemented at any time, right? We can ratchet additional programs up, and then those efforts will certainly help in delaying if the plan needs to be implemented for some reason. Let's say there's a shortage or there's something that happens, then yes, then it can be used for that.
So this is a state document that we have to have per the state. We're going to go out for our 100-year water supply. And then, as we talked about, having a full water committee or council to assist our council with water issues and conservation. That's even going to be like another, kind of like a three-legged stool.
Yes.
So those conservation issues are really going to be centered on that other leg of the stool that we could really get out and tell people, you don't do this, and switch out your grass, here's some state grants, and those things that we really can cut the water. I do have one question, because we only serve part of our city, not the entire city. Do the private utilities have to do a drought preparedness plan as well?
Yes.
Okay, and is it in concert with ours? Is it the same as ours, or how is, because we're gonna have half the city one area and half of the city somewhere else?
We'll have to look into that. Yeah, we don't, although we try to partner as much as we can with Liberty and EPCOR and other water providers, we cannot dictate what they should or should not do, because everybody has a different portfolio and how they would address emergencies. But we can certainly look and meet with them and see if we can align some of our efforts together.
And is the 100-year, just so this 100-year designation, that's for the whole city though, right?
No.
Or that's just for us again?
Just for south of the freeway.
So that would be south of the freeway, so EPCOR and Liberty are gonna have to do their own 100-year designation, redesignation.
Well, they don't have to, because they get certificates.
So they're
Certificates of assured water supply, which is, it's dealt with differently.
But when we do our conservation plan and our whole water council, those are issues, like we had our water committee before, that we can, the whole city, we can strive everyone to do these measures, like
Yes.
Councilmember Bray was saying, so we can really get those measures going for the whole city.
Yes, yeah. So our conservation team works very closely with the Liberty Conservation Team, and we try to work as closely with them on sharing resources and just including them in a lot of our programs.
Well, thank you for all your hard work, and I just think it's really important that people know, like what Councilmember Bray was saying about the conservation issue, although it's not necessarily, this isn't a conservation plan, that we do have that, and that we're going to keep focusing on that too as well. So thank you.
Councilmember Kano?
Well, when this topic came up at work session, I had a lot of questions that I went through, and so at this point, what I just want to convey is that we have a flexible framework now to face the future, whatever it brings, and so that we can respond appropriately to whatever circumstances come up. And we're really entrusting our city manager to access our experts and to make wise decisions, because we are a growing city and we want to maintain. We don't want to shut down and say we're not open for business when in fact we are. But I think the city has been very strong with the conservation messaging. You have a great team that does that. I always think that can be stepped up, but I think that they've been very innovative and in different ways of getting their message out. So, we're in compliance, and we're with what the state requires, and so just want to say thank you to everybody who's worked on this project.
See nothing else at this time. The only thing I want to mention is it seems that our biggest challenge is going to be California, because we're fortunate we have groundwater and we have CAP water. And if the lakes keep dropping and California does not participate on their drought piece, then that's going to affect us, because apparently, I think at some point, it's my own 2 cents worth, is that the federal government's going to have to step in and try to get California to come to the table, be a little more reasonable on those water uses. So with that, I know we're doing a good job. What's it, 81 gallons per capita? 85. That we're doing right now, and we're the lowest in the area? So we do a good job on that, and we'll continue to do a good job to make sure that we don't hit those pieces. So with that, can we open up the voting? Passes 7-0. Let's see, we got one more here, I believe, left. No, will the council please, I did that, motion second. Open don't suspense. What do we got here? What am I missing? Okay, go to the next page. What we got? Council will please enter a motion. Okay, excuse me. Council, please enter a motion and a second for the adoption of the City of Goodyear's Drought Preparedness Plan 2022. Do I get a motion and a second?
Well, we need to clear our screen.
Got a motion and a second. So with that being said, open for council discussion. Seeing none, no further discussion. Open the voting. There we go. 7-0. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. All right, last item is to consider approving an IGA between the city and the Arizona Water Banking Authority. You're back again, right?
Good
Go
evening.
ahead. You're up.
Yes, if staff is requesting that council approve or adopt the IGA, intergovernmental agreement between the city and the Arizona Water Banking Authority. This is to help us if there's ever a shortage on the Colorado River, to be able to work with the Arizona Banking Authority to get additional water credits from the Banking Authority so that we can be what's called firm or made whole. So if there's shortage within our CAP water, then the Banking Authority would provide whatever we're shorted and give us credits so that we could either get wet water or we can get credits so that we can continue meeting the demands for our citizens.
Thank you. Any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Anybody in the audience like to speak? Council, please enter a motion and a second to approve the authority of the city manager to execute the IGA between Arizona Water Banking Authority and the city of Goodyear. I have a motion and a second. All right, discussion? Councilmember Ray?
This is an awesome tool, and it really allows us to grow here in Goodyear, and it's kind of the only way we can grow because of the limitations on physically getting water here. The only reason I bring this up is for council's knowledge is that it's good, we're going to walk away, we did a good thing, whatever. The Water Banking Authority is under constant fire on the state level, and everybody needs to be aware of that because, you know, any little change there, and they always try to make something there, could be catastrophic for Goodyear and for others that are part of that Water Banking Authority. And so I just wanted to raise that issue because it is a constant discussion about them either wanting to do away with it or make significant changes that will hurt us significantly.
Well, I appreciate that feedback. Anybody else? See no further discussion. Can you open the voting? Passes 7-0. And again, thank you, Councilmember Ray, for that, so we can keep an eye on that piece. With that, does council have any comments, commendations, or reports on current events? Anybody? Got Councilmember Campbell?
Okay, I just wanted to let the council know that Saturday was a successful Shop with a Cop with our children in our police department, and also in the afternoon, the Pebble Creek Pickleball Club did a toy drive for our Fill-A-Need, and they also had a raffle and raised a substantial sum of money for us so that we can provide all for all 43 of the families that we've adopted for Fill-A-Need. And then I was also told that the little committee of 3 people have now gotten all 43 turkeys donated, so we did not have to buy them as well. So we thank the Pebble Creek community for their stepping up and helping us provide for our residents.
That is nice. Anything else? One thing I want to mention was there with Wally and Laura and Sherry, Shop at a Cop, and the kids were just ecstatic when they saw Santa circling in that helicopter, you know, several times before Santa landed. I mean, that was awesome. And our event Friday, unfortunately, got rained out Saturday and Sunday, but our event Friday, turning the lights on and with all the kids with Santa, and I guess Julie will give us an update on the count, but I mean, when I was looking out there in the audience, I mean, there was a lot of people that seemed to enjoy, and I got a lot of feedback while I was wandering around there that they really appreciate what we're doing down there at that, you know, at the center there at Civic Square. A lot of kudos, how much they appreciate what we're doing and the events we're bringing. So for Parks and Rec, you know, and whoever's involved in that, and again, I always love thanking staff when we get into those pieces because staff is what makes it happen. So again, tell the staff to go back there. I mean, got a lot of great comments on that. And they did a fantastic job of lightening that up. So with that, do you have something for us there, Julie?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. So as Mayor just mentioned, the first night on The first night of Holidays on the Square kicked off last Friday, and we estimate we had about 2,500 guests who participated. Of course, Mayor counted down the tree lighting, but we also had attendees who created over 600 letters to Santa, enjoyed making ornaments with Phoenix Center for the Arts, posted photos from the Catitude murals, and were able to tell Santa in person what they wanted for Christmas. The second night was unfortunately canceled due to the weather, but we do still have 2 remaining weekends, and the rink, ice skating rink, did resume its normal hours, and I did put my skates on Thursday. It feels a little different than real ice, but it was still a lot of fun. So we encourage everyone to continue to visit the square over the next 2 weekends and enjoy the celebration. I'll have an official update on the Shop with the Cop in the Friday memo. Thank you.
Thank you. And just one quick thing. I got to read to the kids in second grade at Mabel Pageant. Maybe I talked to the city manager about maybe putting in the state of the city. But we had, I don't know, about 15 of the kids written letters saying why they thought Goodyear was such a great place. So, I mean, well written, the kids, the second graders, and I mean, it was really nice to see that part of the letters that they gave us that they had written. So, and I think that's a great idea you had. I'd like to see that incorporated because I really believe we got a great community out here, people stepping up, you know, and whether it's the volunteers or whether it's the kids or whether it's the schools. So, kudos to all that. So, with that being said, next meeting is December 12th at 5 p.m. No further business. Meeting's closed.